Greetings, programs. Welcome to episode 42, Why Boomers Like Capitalism. Today is another psychological and economic episode. I shall put forth the case for why boomers like capitalism so much, which conversely is also why millennials and zoomers do not. And as always, I must preface this with the not all boomers hashtag. This goes for a lot of boomers, possibly even the majority of boomers, certainly the stereotypical ones, but not everybody. So first off, what is a boomer? Well, a boomer is a nickname or short name for a baby boomer, and this is a person who was born after World War II, when there was a sudden population rise. They were born between 1946 and 1964, which means, as a general rule, boomers have grey hair, and they're somebody's granddad or grandmum. Well, for the example of boomers, we must look to America, or the UK, but America is more the example. Boomers from other countries are not so clear-cut, as the economic issues that made them boomers are less clear-cut also, and so this may not apply to, say, French or Lithuanian boomers, but it does apply to many, not all, US and UK boomers. And this is why my parents left the UK for New Zealand, as the trends here are a decade or two behind the curve. And the meme? Okay boomer? Well, basically it's used anytime a boomer says something that shows that they are wildly out of touch with modern economic realities. Okay, so what happened to make boomers boomers? Well, the economy changed. See, boomers were born after the war, World War II, and after the war, the economy was vastly different from anything that had preceded it. Consider the environment in the US, in the UK, at the time. There were these hardened killers who had just returned from the front lines, where they had seen some heavy shit. Plus, the people in charge were not complete muppets. They saw what led up to the rise of fascism, and so they came up with the Bretton Woods plan to build an economy to make sure that that sort of thing never happened again. And this was an economic plan that targeted full employment. With a whole population working and making decent pay, everyone is happy, crime is low, people are getting ahead, the lower class folks can join the middle class, and no Nazis. Because the massive economic depression made the German people desperate enough to put Hitler and, in Italy, Mussolini into power. Also at the time, the USSR existed. Communists, a form of socialism, where the economy was run to the benefit of the people in society. And so, the capitalists had to be put on a leash. Otherwise, the workers would start asking questions about, well, why is it that the communists are supposed to be the bad guys, when they are so much better off than we are? And so this led to a unique situation, where massive programs were enacted to give people free college, the GI Bill, free training, good wages, good benefits, a good social safety net, social security, all of the good things you see in the happier countries of Europe. This was a time when a hard-working man, yes, a man, we are talking about back in the day here, could earn like $30 an hour without a university or college degree, when thanks to government sponsorship, housing and land was cheap, and the returns on those investments were good. It was a great time to be a smart, hard-working man, less so if you're a woman, black, or gay, but hey, back then we didn't think about those people. And then, after a few decades of this, with rising wages, strong labour unions, and many benefits, these boomer folks were looking to retire, or invest, or both. And there were plenty of low-interest loans around to do so with. And funnily enough, a lot of inflation. And this matters. Because if you owed the bank, say, 10 grand, and inflation was 14% per year, which it was at one point, that meant that each year, 14% of what you owed essentially went away. Because your wages were going up. Money was worth 14% less each year, but you were getting paid more to match it. So you effectively owed 10 grand the first year, then 8.5 grand, then 7,496, then 6,360. Wow, that's like a third of it gone in like 4 years. That's not bad. And there was a huge change when Thatcher and Reagan came to power, and they instituted neoliberal economics and gave very high real return on investments and properties. Meaning that if you were a person who owned businesses or properties, such as, for example, your own house, these people, Reagan and Thatcher, were enacting policies that made you more money. That would be the boomers. Oh, and the boomers got really good pensions too. And now, the economy is a lot more like the economies that were leading up to the war. Go figure. Now that the plan to stop fascism rising has ended, fascism is rising. So consider this from the boomers' point of view. For them, capitalism worked. They grew up at just the right time. They were able to go to trade school or university for free, or even get paid in some cases. They got high real wages and great benefits to their jobs. So great that even with only one of a couple working, they were able to buy a house and start a family. And they did this on a low interest loan, usually from the government. And then, when that was done, they were able to save up and buy stocks, bonds, or even start a business, which rapidly gained in value from all the new neoliberal policies. And they have all of that plus a pension that no one dare touch. Now, if you're somebody in this position and someone tells you, hey, this system is called capitalism, well, you're going to love it, because it works. Every step of the way, it has handed you advantage after advantage. Why would you not think that it's great? And that's the problem. Boomers are hothouse flowers that are wondering what everybody is talking about with this weather thing. So to sum up, boomers like capitalism because they never really experienced it. Not like those that came before them, nor those that came after them. Their version of capitalism was as close to socialism as a capitalist could be forced to be, to avoid proving the Soviets right about every damn thing. If the modern neoliberal hellscape was the kind of capitalism they were doing then, in the days of the Cold War, people would have taken a look at China and the USSR and said, screw you guys, we want that. And this explains neatly to us so many of the boomer memes. They think capitalism is what they got. And unless they are an unlucky person who lost everything and had to start over, they are likely to think that this is how it is for everyone. And those who don't make it are just lazy. After all, they got a great job straight out of school. All you needed to do is answer the ad in the paper, work hard, and you'll own your own home inside of a few years. That world is gone. Now people are graduating from college and trade school with massive amounts of debt. This stops them owning a house. How are you supposed to get a loan when you've got this massive debt hanging over your head just standing there? And the house prices have gone up, and wages have gone down, and other living expenses have gone up. And those great loans? Yeah, they have vanished. And currently there's very little inflation to eat the debt for you. And that's the source of the huge disconnect. It's a very human thing to assume that how life is for you is how life is for everyone. It's also wrong. Strange how they never look back at the world that their parents grew up in World War II, and notice how different it was from their world, and then put two and two together and look at their kids, or their grandkids. Thing is, it's changing. That new world is dying. Neoliberal revolution is over. It either goes peacefully, like by the US electing someone like Bernie Sanders, and similar soft revolutions, or it goes loud, like in South America, France, or everywhere else in the world where the protests are. Yeah, funny thing, you don't hear a lot about those protests on the news. I wonder if there's a reason for that. Change is inevitable. Only somebody who knows nothing about history would imagine that all of that history had suddenly come to an end, and that nothing was going to change anymore. We live in interesting times. Look in the doobly-doo below for some links to some interesting economics videos and papers that I found useful. I won't go... This is a very short video, so I shan't go through them, listing them step by step, but enjoy the links. I found them to be quite useful. Anyway, that's all for this week. Bye for now.